This team right now, because of what just happened, is the number one target of the Big Ten in conference realignment, and that would be the Miami Hurricanes. What is up, everybody? It is Jake with Master Football back at it again. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be up to date with everything college football, pro football, Madden, EA college football, NFL draft, anything related to American football, hit the red subscribe button. You will not be disappointed. Also the like button too. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and also follow. We're on Twitter as well. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, guys, something gigantic happened last week that we need to talk about in terms of conference realignment. It is one of the biggest things that nobody talks about because everybody talks about, oh, well, we got to talk about, on-field performance. We got to talk about, viewership. We got to talk about media market, blah, blah, blah. All of those things are extremely important. Do not get me wrong. However, one thing that my man Tony Altomare really surprised me about was how important it was for your academic affiliation with the rest of the conference. Basically, what the situation is, to be simplified, is if you're in conference realignment and you want to have a conference and you want to invite somebody in, you don't want somebody that you invite in that doesn't care about academics the same way that you do. You don't want them to have a difference of opinion, because that person, that team, that university, whatever that is, when they come in, they are going to be voting on issues that affect your students' ability to do certain things. Oh, yeah, screw it. Let's just do back-to-back double headers. Who cares? Nobody cares about school anyways, blah, blah, blah. That is actually extremely important in conference realignment, especially for universities in the Big Ten. The Big Ten is very adamant about that. We're going to get into that in a second here, because the next big move, I think we'll see some smaller moves here and there. Again, people are talking about Colorado leaving for the Pac-12 for the Big 12. They're going back. They're talking about the four corner schools. I understand all that. Until I see something, I don't believe it. However, one thing that is, if not for the worst contract of all time, the ACC grant of rights deal, this team right now, because of what just happened, is the number one target of the Big Ten in conference realignment, and that would be the Miami Hurricanes. Here we are on features.miami.edu, the University of Miami, selected to prestigious Association of American Universities. Recognized for its groundbreaking research and graduate education, the University of Miami is one of 6 leading research universities invited to join the association. And for those of you who don't know, this is the Hall of Fame for universities in America. Now, again, some people might say it's the U.S. News, education rankings or something like that. This is one of the top ones in the country. I'm telling you, to have this association is amazing. Here we are on June 1st. The University of Miami has been chosen as one of the newest members of the esteemed Association of American Universities, AAU, a distinguished national organization of leading research universities founded in 1900. The invitation to join the prestigious organization, considered the gold standard in American higher education, comes as the university's research and sponsored program expenditures totaled more than $413 million in fiscal year 2022, demonstrating a critical focus to address the world's most complex issues. And we see this right here from President Julio Frank. There are special moments in the life of a university that not only reward our hard work, but more importantly, reaffirm our strategic vision and time-honored mission. Today is a great day for all of us who love and support the University of Miami and who have invested our efforts and hearts in its continuous quest for excellence. The University of Miami received the membership invitation along with Arizona State University, George Washington University, UC Riverside, University of Notre Dame, and again, I actually mentioned that before. One thing that's very important here, I said that University of Miami was their next target. More than likely, they would want Notre Dame. However, I think that Miami would say yes. I'm not sure if Notre Dame would say yes if the Big Ten invited them. They already did. Apparently, they said no, thank you. Continuing on here, also the University of South Florida. Again, South Florida, I've had a video before about them. South Florida, I think they've missed their mark. Now they're in the AAU. This would help them if they were a top flight university in terms of sports. They really haven't invested on the sports side. They're talking about it on campus stadium. I really like that perspective there. But again, South Florida they chose academics over athletics. They should have done both. There's a reason why they are behind UCF and not ahead of them at this point. And for all of you who are like, what the hell does it matter what your conference affiliation does in terms of your athletic affiliation? That means there's no correlation between those two. However, there is. We come over here to SI.com, what the American Association of Universities has to do with conference expansion. Again, conference expansion. This article was written is August 1st, 2021. I'm telling you right now, 2023, we're eventually going to be talking about conference realignment. It's shifted from the same way we had shifted from global warming to climate change, conference expansion to conference realignment. It's very important there. It's not the same situation here. The news of Texas and Oklahoma's move to the SEC being finalized on Friday, and again, this is 2 years ago, we explore the possibilities of potential Big Ten expansion in schools the conference would consider. It says, however, the schools looking to join the Big Ten have to jump through a major, I'm assuming this, they mean your, hurdle. They need to be a member of the American Association of Universities, or the AAU. This group has the power to put any aspiring Big Ten school's dreams on hold, and conversely can make some universities' existence and operation easier both on and off the field. And again, it takes you through who they are, how to become a member. It's by invite only. Miami got this invite. In order for schools to be considered, the university have to pass 2 phases of indicators with requirements ranging from membership in national academies, such as the National Academy of Science and Engineering, and the number of research and scholarship PhDs approved every year. What does this have to do with football? Well, I'm glad you asked. According to Adam Rittenberg, the Big Ten only is interested in adding schools that are part of the AAU. By the way, Miami and Notre Dame, too, are both new members of that. So we think about the Big Ten there. And again, they would probably want Notre Dame. However, Notre Dame, I think they kind of like where they're at right now. We know straight up that Miami is not. They're already talking about, revenue distribution according to performance, things like that, because the ACC's contract is so bad, so good that it's bad, it's so bad it's good, whatever you want to say there, that's the situation there. And I'm here for all of you right now. I want to make sure I bring this point up because all of you say, oh, well, don't worry, the SEC would invite Miami. The SEC would invite Miami. No, they wouldn't. Here we are on CanesWarning.com. This came out about 11 months ago. Rumors flying that Florida doesn't want Miami Hurricanes joining the SEC. There have been rumors about this for years now. But again, right here from Riley Overend of SwimSlam stated on Thursday that Florida reportedly doesn't want the Miami Hurricanes to join the SEC. Rumors have been flying nationally since the blockbuster news that UCLA and USC, the cornerstone athletic programs of the Pac-12, were leaving for the conference for the Big Ten. The ACC is at a crossroads, with the Big Ten and the SEC continuing to build their brands. Miami Hurricanes will have to decide if they want to stay in the ACC and potentially help build the conference, or to look to move on to potentially the Big Ten or SEC. Florida reportedly doesn't want to have to recruit against Miami in the SEC. Braden Keith, the co-founder and editor-in-chief of SwimSlam, posted in a tweet. He says down here that SEC is going to want Miami too. No chance the SEC leaves that brand on the table. Sources say that Florida is trying to block Miami because they don't want to recruit in those recruiting battles. Remember this year too. We had the conversation about Houston and Texas back when Texas was actually having votes on the Big 12 for the future, and Texas did not want Houston in there. Big reason why. Big Houston, they were able to recruit against Texas, and they wanted to make sure that Texas always had the ability to go to those players in Houston and say, get out of Houston, come to us, because we'll get you in the Big 12. Those guys are over there in the American, the conference, that conference, whatever it is. If they allow them in, if Texas were to allow Houston in, they lose that ability there. Same thing here with Florida in Miami. Miami is fertile recruiting ground. And again, if Florida loses that specialty, they lose that special task they have over Florida. By the way, Florida and Miami don't even play each other anymore because Florida apparently doesn't want to. So think about that situation there. University of Miami, AAU institution in South Florida. They're not going to be invited to the SEC because Florida doesn't want it to. But what if the Big Ten comes a calling? I'm just saying they already invited in USC and UCLA, who are many time zones away. We have the Miami Hurricanes, the East Coast time zone, very similar to that central time zone for a lot of those Big Ten teams. Would be a much easier integration. Miami's a big airport, works in a lot of different ways there. And I keep on bringing up this tweet here. So this Big Ten information, college football fan, Genetics 56, does a really good job with breaking down these things. And again, these are all rumors here. But he went through some numbers here and really broke this down, where he basically said, if you look through all the teams that they could get from the ACC, Pac-12, Big 12, and everything like that, the only thing that really makes sense for them west of Dallas, Texas, or Lincoln, Nebraska, was Oregon and Washington. Oregon doesn't really make a lot of sense. Washington does make a little bit of sense, but you wouldn't want to add somebody out there on an island by themselves. However, the conversation here was future expansion targets will be focused on the Midwest and ACC schools. Are there any of the SEC schools willing to jump on the Big Ten offer? He said, and again, one thing here we have to remember here is Texas A&M hates Texas. So what would be the biggest middle finger they could give to Texas? What if they went to the Big Ten? That's important there too. I also think that this information, remember this tweet happened here before the news that Miami was getting invited to the AAU. He says everyone could list Clemson, Florida State, and Miami as the top three gets in the SEC. Remember there, I think that he mentioned Virginia Tech or NC State. I think that number one of this list would be Miami with this new added, factor here. Clemson's not in the AAU. Florida State is approaching the AAU. They're not in there yet. Miami is. And we all know that the SEC, first of all, they're having a hard enough time with going to 8 conference games versus 9. Oh, we don't want to do 9 conference games. That's too much. Unfortunately, it sounds like the SEC is kind of the old guard. They kind of do the things. They kind of wait and they do things second. The Big Ten is acting first here. I would not be surprised if the Big Ten, first of all, I do think there's a limitation with how many schools they can add. I don't think they're going to get to 30 schools, 35. They want these teams to actually be able to play each other eventually. So they add Miami and probably they would like to get to 18 to 20, something like that. Schools, maybe 22, but 24, 26, 30, 32. The problem is that eventually those schools don't play each other very often, and you can't sell all these cool matchups in the Big Ten if they're not actually going to be playing each other because of this kind of, unfortunately, diluted themselves with too many teams. One of the big hindrances to the University of Miami has been the fact that they have an off-campus stadium. So remember here, this came out a while ago. Okay, but this is a very important news article here. It says the big-time Miami Hurricanes booster released renderings for a proposed stadium at Tropical Park. And if you look at these, this looks absolutely. Can you imagine if this was right there next to? This would be unbelievable if this is what it looked like. That would be incredible. 60,000 people stadium close to University of Miami off the park. It would be incredible. If you look at it, the difference between what they have right now versus this, it would be night and day. And I chose the University of Miami is right here. So we have a Pollo Tropical because everybody knows if you're going to a game, you want to make sure you leave, you get some food, you go to the game. So this is right on campus. This is a 3-mile walk to the Tropical Park area where they're at, where they're talking about that new stadium would be. So it would be a 3-mile walk. And again, that's a little bit ways, but you'll see people walking up and down here. That would not be unheard of in college football for people to walk 3 miles to a game. That's not unheard of. However, this is where they're at. They're like, oh, that's 3 miles is a long way. Well, what they used to do, or actually what they're doing right now, is this is where the University of Miami has to play their games right now. So this is Hard Rock Stadium, and this is the University of Miami, Pollo Tropical, obviously on the campus. So they have a 22-mile drive. So unfortunately, the home games are just tough to kind of sell because people are so far away. But you add that, not only do they have the AAU institution, they have the fact that Florida doesn't really like Miami. They have the fact that they're talking about an on-campus stadium. Everything's lining up for these guys at this point. In addition to, they're already starting to address the football situation too. Miami last year was 5-7, and that's unacceptable. Now, one quick way to address being 5-7 is to have the number 8 overall recruiting class in the class of 2023. You said Francis Moiguai, the number 10 player in the country, the number 23 player in the country, the number 63, 82, 109, 139, 157, 168, 203. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 guys in the top 300. That is what's called a really good recruiting class. Mario Cristobal is doing his thing, helping out the on-field abilities. So we got off-campus, on-campus. They're hitting this thing from all sides. I think, and again, Notre Dame's probably number 1, but I don't know if they'd say yes. Miami is number 2, and they would say yes to the Big Ten invite. Miami Hurricanes, and again, we all like, oh yeah, the 5-7, yeah, the Magic's on, the Magic on. Do not sleep on Miami. They had 5 national championships in like a 30-year period. They are an unbelievable university when it comes to conference realignment. So you think about them right now. AAU member. Florida does not want them in the SEC. The Big Ten wants to expand into the Southeast region. They are talking about an on-campus stadium. They're getting their football right. Everything's going right for Miami right now. We need to see some wins on the field. Okay, Mario, I like that number 8 recruiting class in 2023, but I'm going to need to see some wins. However, everything's lining up for them. Again, Notre Dame's probably the number 1 target for the Big Ten, but number 2 and more likely to say yes to an invite from the Big Ten is the Miami Hurricanes. All right, guys, get in the comments right now and let me know what you think about this whole situation. What do you think? I'm telling you, Miami, I don't sleep on Miami. Everybody says, oh, Miami, the Magic's on, the Magic's gone. The Magic looks like it's coming back. Number 8 recruiting class, on-campus stadium, boom, 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 AAU institution. SEC is going to be stupid and do the same situation that Texas did with, Houston. I'm telling you right now, the Big Ten is a lot more forward-thinking at this kind of stuff. I think they're going to eventually, again, this is going to take until 2030. Obviously, this is going to take into the 2030s, but don't be surprised, man. Miami going to join the Big Ten. What if Miami and Notre Dame join the Big Ten and they have that rivalry game as a conference game in the Big Ten? Would be huge. Guys, that's it. Thank you so much for being here. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and follow on Twitter. I'll see you guys later. I am out.